Hi, welcome to our digital story about our understanding of what is a holistic Aboriginal perspective. I think it's really important for Australian communities to focus on partnerships with Aboriginal community members to set goals and promote equal opportunities regarding employment, health and education. An article I read by Sandra Bailey and Jennifer Hunt emphasises the importance of successful partnerships on improving the healthcare and resources for Aboriginal people. As Indigenous Australians have a lower life expectancy and less access to health services, it's really important to strengthen community ties and relationships to reduce this gap and improve the overall health and the quality of health services provided to Indigenous Australians. Kevin Lowe published a document for the Board of Studies describing the importance of facilitating better community partnerships in Australian communities regarding the education of Indigenous and non-Indigenous students. This focuses on the relationship between Aboriginal communities and government agencies, as well as highlighting different programs such as the Aboriginal Careers Education Project and the Mathematics Indigenous Context Projects. I believe that the success of these programs will lead to establishing strong community partnerships and consultations with Aboriginal Australians in order to properly understand the Aboriginal perspective regarding their health and education in Australia.
Through studying EDAE301, I have discovered a whole new perspective and understanding for the importance of implementing Aboriginal pedagogies within the classroom. Pedagogies being the approaches, theories, and practices influencing a student's learning can ultimately come in many forms. It wasn't until I listened to a group in my tutorial presenting their teachings on Aboriginal pedagogies that I truly came to understand that students within the classroom deserve opportunities for success. As Lutherwaite's study states the importance for teachers to implement teaching practices that will positively influence Aboriginal students' engagement and learning. One of the Aboriginal pedagogies framework I have had a deeper look into is known as 8 Ways. The 8 Ways include story sharing, learning maps, symbol and images, land links, nonlinear, deconstruct/reconstruct, and community links. This framework brings a holistic Aboriginal perspective into the classroom through the use of Aboriginal learning techniques to positively form connection to the land, culture, language, spirit, and the relationship between these, rather than the tokenistic teaching of indigenised content.
When teaching students about Aboriginal education, it is extremely important that the correct protocols are being respected and implemented into the classroom. This is important as it allows for a safe environment for all the students involved, particularly those who are Indigenous students. An example of where these protocols can be put in place is when learning about Aboriginal English and the Aboriginal language. Sharon Davis states that 80% of Indigenous Australians speak Aboriginal English, which means the correct protocols need to be put in place. When these Indigenous Australians speak this Aboriginal English in class, it's important to take the correct protocols and encourage the use of their native language. Instead of telling them they are speaking incorrectly, they need to be encouraged and shown the difference between the two languages. This then gives students the chance to value Aboriginal language rather than think the language is below them. This is just one example of why it is so important to take the correct protocols when being educated on Aboriginal education. Overall, we can see the importance of learning about the Aboriginal culture. It must be valued and is extremely important to be educated about in primary schools and high schools everywhere.